Welcome to Baby Boomer Tales. My name is Jim. Thanks for riding along today. You can find us online at babyboomertales.com. Once there, you can find a link to our Facebook page. Listen to our podcast on links like YouTube that has closed captioning, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, and many more. In the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 3, verses 1 through 8, it goes like this. For everything there is a season and a time for every purpose under heaven, a time to be born and a time to die, a time to plant and a time to pluck up that which is planted, a time to kill and a time to heal, a time to break down and a time to build up, a time to weep and a time to laugh, a time to mourn and a time to dance, a time to cast away stones and a time to gather stones together, a time to embrace and a time to refrain from embracing, a time to seek and a time to lose, a time to keep and a time to cast away, a time to rend and a time to sow, a time to keep silence and a time to speak, a time to love and a time to hate, a time for war and a time for peace. In 1965, the Byrds made that scripture from the Bible famous with their song, Turn, Turn, Turn. It was written in the late 50s and originally recorded by Pete Seeger. The reason I read that passage of scripture is because the title of today's podcast is Decades and Seasons. We go through decades of our life, and in just like a twinkling of an eye, we go from being a little kid and a teenager and a young adult to an old person, if we're fortunate to get that far. So I want to go through every decade of a person's life. I'll base it on me because that's the only person I really have any authority to base any of this stuff on. I guess I could include my wife on some of that. We've been married 43 years now. And I may interject some of my observations of her as I go along here. I first of all wanted to do this, I thought, by Googling and checking out different ways we age and what we go through and different parts of our lives and stuff, but that became way too technical and everybody has an opinion anyway. I don't care if they're a scientist or a Nobel Peace Prize possessor. So we're just going to do my take on the whole deal and we'll go from there. From the time you're born until you through age 9, that is your first decade. You're born, you learn about love, about speech, about walking, about the word no. You learn how to share. You learn about family. It's the decade where when you first go to school, you learn how to obey. They say that we learn more the first 10 years than we do the rest of our lives put together. All those years afterwards. And that really does make a lot of sense. You are born into this world dumb as a post because you know absolutely nothing. Mom and dad and your teachers and your friends and whatever else the world has all around you teach you about good and about bad. Your second decade, ages 10 through 19, let's call it, you start going through puberty and then you become a teenager and you know it all. And then you discover the other sex, then all you think about is sex. And you start learning about goals and self-discipline. Start considering your future and you're thinking about college or a career. Some of us even get married in this second decade of our lives. The third decade, ages 20 through 29, this is where most of us, if we're going to get married, most of us get married in this decade. Start having children, start getting pretty serious about a career because you're buying houses and cars and refrigerators and freezers and lawnmowers and you're having to put your kids in school and the future is now. Fourth decade, ages 30 through 39, I don't know about you, but I know my friends and I used to kid each other about getting old. Start getting that little paunch that you have to start working out more. Maybe start doing more sit-ups and squats. Start jogging a little more. Your children are starting to grow up. Maybe you need to lose a little weight. In my later 30s, I found out that I had lost a little bit of hearing. The ear, nose, throat specialist told me that I'd lose a little more as I got older. It would get worse and worse as time went on. I thought he was crazy. I didn't even know what he was talking about. Your fifth decade, which starts at the age of 40 and runs through 49. A lot of us, when we have our 40th birthday, people send us black tombstones with rest in peace on it and give you a party with black balloons, and everybody just says how now you're 1 foot from the grave. You're so old, you're so old. It's all a big joke and it's all in good fun, and we all laugh about it, but we definitely notice our bodies changing. Where's that six-pack I used to have? You mean that keg? Your children may be growing up now, and they're becoming parents of their own, and you're having grandchildren, and all of a sudden, a lot of your priorities are changing. This also is a decade where a lot of us start really experiencing loss. This fifth decade, when we're in our 40s, is when I lost both my parents. My wife lost her mother. I know so many of my friends, same thing happened to them. Your sixth decade, ages 50 through 59, grandchildren are kind of the order of the day. You notice yourself slowing down more and not even caring. A lot of us go through some sort of change of life. They call it menopause for women and male menopause for men, and we all experience it differently. Maybe the women are having hot flashes and realize that their days of being able to have a child is over. Maybe some of their hormones are raging, and the men going through it want to buy a new Corvette or a motorcycle. It's also the decade when you start realizing that you aren't invincible, that something could happen to you. You better start watching it. Better go get a colonoscopy. Your seventh decade, age 60 through 69, we start thinking about retirement now. It's coming on you pretty fast. In fact, Medicare is sending you brochures. You're starting to look at your Social Security statement a lot closer, thinking, wow, should I take this early? Or if I work several years afterwards, I'll be able to take that much. You go from being the kid at work to being the old man. People kid you about it. And gone are the days when somebody finds out how old you are and they say, man, you look younger than that. What happened to those days? You have aches and pains in places you didn't even realize you had places, but you're still believing for your divine health. Walking the walk and talking the talk, not giving in. Not giving an inch to all that the pharmaceutical commercials tell you you're going to be experiencing. They can just shove it as far as I'm concerned. And then all of a sudden you are retired. Maybe not even because you were planning on that early. It just happens sometimes. At least at 67 or 68, you're not all washed up like a baseball player at 37 or 38. And then the 70s come. And this is your eighth decade here on this earth. And the eighth decade goes from age 70 through 79. This is where I am right now. I turned 70 in May, and here it is November. And I'm here to tell you that 70 is definitely different than 60. At 60, I could still scamper up the ladder and get on my roof. I could still jump off my tractor and not think a thing about it. I could still do a bunch of things that today, if I jumped off my tractor, I don't know what would happen. I realized that about mid-60s, I'd jump off my tractor and go, ooh, I can't do that anymore. I have to have a step now, put a milk crate in the back of my pickup, so if I need to get in my pickup, I can step up on the milk crate and then get up. And getting down from the pickup's actually harder than getting up in it. I can crawl up in it, but getting down, how in the world do you get down off that thing? Now I'm talking about the bed of my pickup truck and not the cab of my truck. But lately my wife has been saying she'd kind of like to have a step to get inside the cab. So when you're 70, you have to think of all that. I'm still getting up on my roof, but I have to do it a different way. I have my wife hold the ladder, and I extend the ladder clear up there so I can, when I get up to the top, I have some room to negotiate. This is a time in life when you really wonder about your friends, your loved ones. They're all getting older too, you know. Start losing friends, not from insulting them or something, but that they grow old and die. You cherish every day you have with your wife, and little things become important things. And you really take less and less for granted all the time. Going up and down the stairs, going to the basement to get something out of the freezer becomes a trip that you need to plan for. Make sure you don't forget anything when you come back up. It's a lot easier to do that trip once a day than 3 or 4 times. But by golly, I can do it 3 or 4 times if I want to. It's also a thing where you walk into a room and you wonder where the heck your glasses are. They're right on the end of your nose. Don't for a minute let anybody tell you that you're getting old and you're losing your mind. Dementia and Alzheimer's is a terrible, awful disease that affects way too many folks. But don't play into those words that come and try to have you buy into that. Fight that with all you've got, with all you know how. My mind is renewed like an eagle's, day by day by day. By golly, it's got to be. I've got to do a podcast every week. My goal in life is to do 1,000 of these, and this is number 97. So I have 903 left to go. You figure that out at 52 a year, I'm going to be well into my 80s. I hope you're listening back 20 years from now. Well, it won't be 20, but 18 years from now. Now, I want to do just one little disclaimer here about our wellness of mind. There's nothing wrong with believing that you are healed and well and okay, especially in your head. But if a loved one, someone you trust and love and cherish and have known, is telling you that Dad or Mom, we need to see somebody, don't fight them on it, whatever you do. You can still believe and you can still stand for what's right and be agreeable with the ones you love and trust the most. Just my 2 cents worth there. So the 80s, your 9th decade, 80 through 89, this is where I feel that a person is truly old. Now you might be saying to me, speak for yourself, and I appreciate that. I really do. But no matter how you cut it or how you want to spin it, you are older than the majority of the population by far. And anywhere you go, someone somewhere is going to refer to you as the old guy. I don't care how tough you think you are. I don't care what good shape you're in, how sharp your mind is, how good your teeth are. You're old. But you can be old for a very, very long time, and you can be healthy, and you can be happy. Once you turn 90, that's your 10th decade on this earth. If you're that fortunate to get that far, just smile and thank God above. I've always believed I'm going to live to be 100. All kinds of people said to me, I wouldn't want to be 100 years old. I would be miserable. That doesn't have to be. That does not have to be. Now, will I make it to 100 or not? That's my plan. I don't know. Who knows these things? Will I make it and be healthy? By golly, yes. I am not aches and pains free like I was when I was 20. But so what? I've had a lot of miles on me. I hope you're happy. I hope you're well. If you're not well, that should have nothing to do with your happiness. Come on, get happy. The seasons of our life are just like seasons in a year, in my opinion. Ages day 1 through 25 years is like spring, and all is new. It's like a breath of fresh air. From 26 to 50, that is the summer of our lives. Summertime and the living is easy. Fish are biting. Cotton's high. The fall is ages 51 through 75. Ah, fall. Golden fall. My favorite time of year. My favorite time of life. I do believe this is my favorite time of life. And then our winter, the time for reflection. Winter starts when you're 76. It's usually nice and mild, but as it grows on and on, the days become shorter and colder. So as you look back and you think of days gone by and all those you've loved and all those you've lost, you can smile and have a tear in your eye all at the same time. It's okay. Be kind to everybody. It doesn't matter how they react. I'll be back next Wednesday. Peace out.